The defendant, Washington Hospital Center, provided surgical services requiring anesthesia to the plaintiff, female, age of 36. It was discovered that the breathing tube for the purpose of conveying oxygen to and removing CO2 from the sedated patient should have been inserted above her lungs, but instead it was improperly inserted above her esophagus. This resulted in the plaintiff's blood becoming devoid of oxygen during surgery, taking on a darkened color and plunging the plaintiff into a cardiac arrest. The plaintiff was revived. However, due to the lack of oxygen, she suffered extensive brain injury, resulting in the plaintiff being in a persistent vegetative state. The plaintiff's family suit claims that the defendant was negligent for not supplying the anesthesiologist with a monitor used for early detection of insufficient oxygen in time to prevent brain injury. During the trial, it was found that the medical and scientific literature relating to the use of the monitors in question was widespread amongst those in the field, and at least 4 U.S. hospitals used the said monitors. Additionally, expert witnesses for both sides agreed that many hospitals were in the process of utilizing said monitors. Furthermore, the hospital's chair of the anesthesiology department testified that the request was made to procure the units for the hospital's operating rooms, stating that if the monitors were not provided, the hospital would fail to meet the national standard of care. The monitors were to be fully operational at least 3 months prior to the plaintiff's scheduled surgery. The jury found in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant challenged the summary judgment, arguing that the plaintiff's expert, Dr. Steen, witness testimony lacked adequate factual basis for his opinions, the number of hospitals with monitors, the mandatory requirements of standards for the monitors. In response to the defendant's challenge, the Court of Appeals stated that the patient is required in a medical malpractice negligence action to establish the following: the applicable standard of care, a deviation from that standard, and 3, that the injury was caused by the deviation. Given that these issues relate to some science, profession, and occupation, expert testimony was necessary. In regard to the applicable standard of care, the Court describes that the standard of care in this course of action, a reasonable, prudent institution or a professional with the same specialty would have taken under the circumstances that were similar. The standard of care may call for more than mandatory procedures or precautions. Based on testimony at the time of the plaintiff's injury on November 1987, and according to the national standards, a reasonable prudent care hospital would have supplied a carbon dioxide monitor to a patient undergoing general anesthesia for elective surgery. Therefore, a reasonable jury could have found that the standard of care in this case required the defendant to provide a carbon dioxide monitor to a patient undergoing general anesthesia for elective surgery, thus affirming the judgment of the trial court.